Hey, what's happening, guys? This is Shukesh. Today, let's talk about the practicality of buying a 6.2 inches Galaxy S8 Plus. Well, according to Steve Jobs, the smartphone display size should not be bigger than a credit card. When he was asked about the 4 inches Galaxy S back in 2010, he said, "No one's gonna buy that since you cannot get your hand around it." Now this year Samsung flagships sport enormous displays. You have 5.8 inches on the S8 and 6.2 on the S8 Plus. Well, is this too much? Is it really practical to have such big displays? I mean, smartphones should be one hand friendly, and the new S8 Plus is definitely not. Not only the display but also the fingerprint sensor at the back is out of reach. But there are some factors to consider, like the display aspect ratio, the curvature at the edges, and the software optimization. Despite having a huge display, the S8 Plus is actually quite ergonomic. To give you a clear idea, I have with me the Lumia 1320 with a 6 inches 16:9 display, and it's almost impossible to use the phone with one hand, but since the display aspect ratio of S8 Plus is actually 18.5:9, you can reach the display edge on the other side, so typing on the keyboard or dialing a number on the dial pad while holding the phone with one hand is definitely not an issue. My hands are actually mid-sized, and trust me, the handling of this S8 Plus is not a big problem, let alone the much smaller Galaxy S8. Now when you compare the S8 Plus's display with a 5.5 inches screen, it gets very interesting. Definitely 6.2 inches is looking much bigger, especially much taller than the 5.5 inches screen, and the width of the display on the S8 Plus is very close to the OnePlus 3T's display width. And the interesting part is, when you launch an application or a video in its native aspect ratio, that is 16:9, the active display size of the S8 Plus is very close to the OnePlus 3T. I have done some calculations, and what I have found is in 16:9 mode, the visible display size of S8 Plus is actually 5.53 inches, that is, it's just 0.03 inches bigger than a normal 5.5 inches screen. Now Samsung allows you to optimize the applications for this taller display. You can go to this full screen apps setting and turn on full screen view for the applications you want. This basically crops two sides of the applications or games, and I think you won't miss any vital part of the application. But this huge display definitely provides an immersive experience, and let me show you YouTube, where you basically zoom into the video, cropping the top and the bottom part. There is an on-screen icon to switch in between full screen and actual view. Now the question is this huge 6.2 inches display size reasonable or practical? Well, I think so. I mean, the slight crop at the bottom and the top part of the videos doesn't cause that much harm, and for watching movies or gaming, a bigger display is always preferable. No need to mention the footprint of this S8 Plus is actually much smaller than other devices. The only issue I face is you cannot reach the notification center or the fingerprint sensor without adjusting your hand. Otherwise, this S8 Plus is actually quite user friendly. In fact, the curvature at the edges make the display narrower, so again, typing on the keyboard or dial pad, browsing the web is almost similar to a 5.5 inches display. Now there I have with me the Google Pixel with a 5 inches display size, and for me this display dimension is just perfect for one-handed usage. I can handle the phone just like the way I want. Now the interesting fact is, in 16:9 display aspect ratio, the visible display size of the 5.8 inches S8 is 5.175 inches, that is just 0.075 inches bigger than the S7. The 4.7 inches screen size of the iPhone 7 is definitely easiest to use, and Apple still included the reachability feature so that you can access the apps at the top without stretching your hand. The screen to body ratio of Apple devices are the worst, and the footprint of the bigger 7 Plus is actually very close to the S8 Plus. In fact, the S8 Plus is much narrower. Now, along with this extremely narrow bezel, there are some software tweaks that really helps. For example, you can shrink the whole display to your right or left. There are two options. You can either swipe up from the bottom corners or triple tap the on-screen home button. Now, since the display is quite tall with narrow bezel at the bottom, I think Samsung should give us an option to convert the display into 16:9 mode, which will be at the bottom of the screen so that we can reach the notification center without any issue. The curvature at the edges not only makes the screen smaller, this also provides a great grip of the phone. Now, there is a question for you guys. Do you think this taller and bigger display really justified? I mean, in 16:9 mode, you are basically getting the S7 Edge's display. In fact, Samsung could have made a much smaller 5.5 inches display phone. S8 Plus is too big for one-handed usage. You cannot reach the fingerprint sensor, the notification center, and all this without any actual increase in the screen dimension if you are not into the crop mode. So do comment below and let me know what you think. If you have found this video very interesting and useful, then don't forget to hit the like button below. You can also subscribe to get regular updates from this channel. This is Shukesh signing off. Have a nice day, guys.